Today I'm gonna give you guys a preview of the new money button design work. So what does the money button actually look like? However, before I do that, I want to give a shout out to Satoshi Doodles, who just finished an epic 100-day sprint to create comics every single day. I am inspired by Satoshi Doodles, and I'm going to create my own little videos here, which are not as high quality as these beautiful comics. But I still find just the very idea of doing something creative like this every single day seems like a really good idea. So congratulations, Satoshi Doodles, on completing this sprint successfully. This is the 100th comic here. So I'll link to that in the notes here. So let me sort of move on and let me show you guys some of the design work. So what I'm showing you right now is this is a mood board that we created. This is actually created by Aerolab. Aerolab is a design firm that we're working with to do the design work. And this is the mood board for the money button. So the idea behind this mood board was basically coming up with something that was friendly but also secure. Friendly in the sense that we want this to be accessible to a mainstream audience. So we're not making a product that's exclusively for like cryptocurrency enthusiasts. This is for everybody. This is something that needs to be accessible to everybody in the world. And so it should be something friendly and comfortable and familiar and stuff like that. So that's kind of what these colors and shapes and animations are all like. It's very friendly, but also at the same time secure. It needs to be something where you feel completely confident that your money is being handled correctly because it's actually a cryptocurrency wallet. So it's actually kind of reminiscent of Dropbox in a way. Dropbox is one of the role models for how to do the design work in this case, because Dropbox is also friendly and secure. So that's the mood board. Let me now show you guys the button. So this is sort of a version of the button. Now let me sort of explain what we're seeing here. So first of all, the button is, it actually has a gesture. So it's not simply a button. The way the button will work on mobile is you're actually going to swipe the button rather than tap it. And the reason for that is a lot of people on yours.org complained that it's too easy to accidentally tap the button and send money. So we actually wanted to make it some recognizable gesture that you only do this if you actually really want to send money. So that is, you're going to swipe the thing. And so that's why there's like a dot, because what you actually do is you swipe the dot. Now what we're seeing here is sort of different states of the button. So there's a state where you don't see the amount displayed at all, and that will be useful for tipping. We'll probably have a default amount that's user configurable, I suppose. Either that or the publisher will have to set a value that's low or something. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to handle it, like what the amount will be. But you can press it more than once if you want to send more money. So whatever it is, it'll be low. You can also see, another configuration is to actually see the amount in it in sort of a number of different ways. Here's a version where you see it sort of to the left, or you can make the text of the button actually the amount. And now after you pay, you see like an indication that you paid and that it sort of completed. Now the size of the button will change depending on what's inside. You know, what is the text in the button. So it'll be wider if there needs to be more there. And then there's a symbol here, this sort of party symbol. Like when you actually completed a payment, it knows that, and you get a symbol that indicates that the payment has finished. So you either tipped or you've bought something or whatever it is. So here's just another, this is just like, sizing and what should go around the button. Here's what happens. This is just, what it sort of will look like when you complete the payment. More sizing information here. Now, this is what it's going to look like when you actually make a payment. So in this example here, we're seeing the configuration of the button where we don't display the amount. You drag the button. Again, let's assume you're on mobile. You'd probably drag it with your thumb or something. and you have an opportunity to cancel. So while the payment's being made, it's animated. It shows you how much you're paying. If you change your mind, you can X and cancel. If you don't cancel, it shows you a nice little animation that's success, and it looks, happy and everything. Here's a sort of a different configuration, the second option here, where we're seeing the amount on the left. So we give you, so the publisher has this option of displaying the amount, which is useful for purchases. So if you're not tipping, but you're actually purchasing something, obviously you want to know how much money you're spending. We show that on the button itself, and you can drag it just like with the tipping option, and there's an animation, and you have the opportunity to cancel, and then eventually it shows you that you succeeded, and that it's complete. So here we have for tipping, we want to be able to do something. We basically want to be able to easily indicate how many people have tipped, as well as whether you've tipped or not. So that's what this sort of problem, this version of the design is trying to solve right here. Is showing you this little this party symbol here that you have not yet tipped, and it gets filled in when you've tipped, and the counter shows you how many people have tipped. We decided not to show the actual amount of money because it seems, you could sort of display that depending on the app, but it seems like the information you want to know is sort of like whether you've tipped and how many people have tipped, not necessarily the amount of money. Here are some notifications that'll be displayed, when you successfully tip and so on. Okay, so let me move on and show the next step. So what I just showed you was basically pretty much what we're going to launch with. So it's going to look like that at launch. But we know that some people are going to want to configure the button. So I'm going to show you some of these, the configurations that we're going to sort of have later. So the first configuration here, let me zoom in and show the version of this. Okay, so the first sort of configuration here. So we now have the same colors, same size and shape and all that stuff, but a different way to use the button. So this is what happens when you want to add a tip to something you've purchased. So this isn't something we'll have at launch, but we'll add this later. So we'll give you the ability to purchase something for a fixed price, but then also if you want to tip it later, you just tap again and you can add something to it, make another payment. So the buy button sort of turns into a tipping button. Again, we won't have this at launch, but this is something we'll do soon thereafter. And so this is all about that, selecting amount versus typing in an amount and so on. So we'll make these options available later. Sizing information. Now, we also have, different colors. So I showed you the mood board at the beginning. So the idea here is making different color options, because obviously blue and green may not work for every app. So we have to provide some alternatives. So this is what the alternatives might look like. So we're kind of looking for feedback on this right now. So these are just different colored versions of the button. In fact, I'll just go ahead and link to Twitter where I posted this, and if you have any feedback on these colors, please share. We'll probably provide these sort of fixed set of colors for people to pick, and we need something that's both branded as well as something that can work on most apps. Now, the reason why it's branded, I guess I didn't really explain that at the start, but it's actually pretty important that the button is branded for a lot of reasons, including basically the user is actually sending their own money when they press this button. It needs to be comfortable and familiar and secure, and you need to be able to recognize this button and know what to expect when you see it around the internet. So that's why it's branded. We may provide a way to completely configure the design of the button, but that's something that we'll we need to figure that out later. When we work with specific customers that actually need it to be completely different, we're kind of figure that out at that time. How can we make it so that basically in certain conditions it's not branded and it's completely different, while retaining the user experience that they expect, that it's familiar and they understand what it is and so on. So we'll kind of worry about that a little bit later. But for right now, we'll probably, so we'll launch with something that looks a little bit more like this, like these blue and green colors here, although without the tipping configuration at launch, but we'll probably add that soon thereafter. And then we'll also add some other colors that might look something like this. So just let us know what you think, and whether there's other colors or something like that, whatever, any feedback you have that you think we should know before we dive into implementing all these colors. So that's all I have for today. That's a preview of what the button will look like at launch. Yeah, just let us know any feedback you have. We're targeting August 20th for the launch. I think that's still realistic. We have most of the technical stuff in place, and we have most of the design work finished. It's now mostly a matter of actually implementing all of the design work. So we have maybe a week or so of effort of sort of super technical things that we have to finish. But other than that, it's going to be actually implementing the entire UI. So I've shown you the button, but also we have a lot of other UI work. So I mean, it's a wallet with a thoughtful onboarding process, which maybe I can show you in a later video. But there's quite a lot of work to do to actually implement the entire UI, and we're only partway done with that. So we're targeting August 20th. We have a number of people working on it, though, so I think it seems realistic that we can actually finish everything. So that's what we're going to try to do. So let us know your feedback, and thank you for watching.